Okay, I think we are moving to the fourth paper of track one, verification and validation. The next paper is on AI-assisted smart analysis to accelerate system-level issue localization in post-silicon validation. The authors are Amaresh, Chellapilla, Pandithurai, Sangaiyah, and Nagi Reddy Emani, Intel Technology India Private Limited. Over to the next presentation in this section.
Hello everyone, I am Amaresh. In this presentation, I am going to discuss on a proposed method of AI-assisted smart analysis for system-level issue localization in post-silicon validation and debugs. Accompanying me today are two more authors, Nagi Reddy and Pandithurai, who will be available during Q&A session. The problem statements that we are trying to address through our proposed method are the huge debug turnaround times in driving post-silicon issues to root cause and fix, and the large number of resources required in trials and debug activities for complex products in post-silicon phase. To elaborate further, I would like to focus on some critical factors as mentioned below. The manual efforts which are inevitable through traditional approaches that we have today, and the exponential complexity and interdependencies at system level. So the interdependencies that I'm talking here are about the BIOS, the CPU, the drivers, and the component drivers, component firmware, software, and the hardware, everything working together and eventually creating a complex infrastructure which we need to go through whenever we are debugging any post-silicon issues. So in order to address this, we also need varied skill set in the team, which is required in different technical domains, and which is as well challenged by accelerated growth in technology today through a lot of innovations and invention happening in the industry. And along with this, voluntarily, there is a contribution to the debug complexity through automation frameworks and remote capabilities that we have to be established in order to be efficient in executions. So with these problem statements, I will go ahead and discuss on the traditional debug approaches first, so that we can relate later to the advantages that we can get from the proposed method. In general, any debug engineer or any validation engineer would try to get acquainted with the failure signature first, and in a team, we devise a theory on the issues to drive to the next steps. And after that, we activate the available debug infrastructure on the SUT or in the external part of the SUT. Then we try to reproduce the issues, and then we start analyzing the debug logs and traces and dumps, which can consist of memory dumps, crash dumps, and a lot of traces in terms of signal analysis, and a lot of logs starting from automation logs and BIOS logs and any other different component level driver logs. So after that, we focus triaging around a suspected area which aligns with the device theory. If not successful, we need to brainstorm again and come on a different theories and drive the triaging. Only once the triaging is successful and we find a suspected area, narrowed down area, then we concentrate on the debug towards that particular component of this entire system. To support this traditional debug approaches and to elaborate a bit more on the complexity and the difficulties that we have, I will go through a case study which we have brought here from a Thunderbolt 4 years before post-silicon debug use case. So in a traditional approach, for a Thunderbolt 4 or years before issue, we can take a simple example of a test case, which is having a USB or DP or PCI devices attached in an active power state of the system. And then the test case is to enter a low power state and exit. So issues anticipated, if we talk about a few of them, would be device enumeration failures or yellow bang on the controllers or the root ports, PCI root ports missing. And in such cases, the probable sources of issues can be device malfunction, the link errors, enumeration path establishment failures, driver issues, operating system resource allocation problems, security level problem and power delivery issues. Another issue that we can discuss here is low power entry and exit failure. It can be the sleep or hibernate or shut down whatever we enter into, and while we exit from it, if we face some issues. And the sources of issues in that case can be signal timing issues, power delivery issues, platform or controller hardware issues, and firmware deadlock. So the basic required steps to isolate, you can also look at the right side where we have tried to give a very simple flow diagram to understand the traditional approaches. And usually it's the same thing what I discussed in the previous slide, reproducing from the traces and logs, then checking the signal traces, dumps, and whatever driver logs or firmware BIOS logs that we have, we can check them, and we try to isolate through the information that we have in the log. And post that, we try to reproduce again if we are not able to converge it by doing some focused experiments and finding the logs again. So this is the traditional debug approach, and you can see how complex it can become looking at any of the system level use cases today. For a really complex system, the time taken for such a debug would be anything between 10 days to 2 months, and that is a very critical time for any organization because that is eventually impacting the time to customer. The proposal we have today here is a method based on suitable ML algorithms, the machine learning algorithms, to process the debug ingredients like the logs, dumps, traces, and feed that into an artificial intelligence based solution package to isolate or triage the issue to a specific area of the hardware, software, or firmware. So on an abstract level, we are trying to say here is we can find one or a combination of algorithms which can be suitable to process the data that we have. And depending on the nature of the product being validated, the algorithms may differ. So we need to work with the experts here and train a tool for both the failing and passing cases and link it to the expected golden outcome. Feeding the training data to AI assisted solution, and we would try to strengthen it over tens of thousands of training sets. It would take some time, but over the period, it will come to an accuracy of more than 70%. So users can define how the acceptance criteria here, what will be the accuracy rate, which will be good enough to use this tool. So, and finally, we can define a flow which can use this AI assisted tool, and now we can see the acceleration in triaging. Going to the next slide here, we are trying to show a possible way of bringing up this tool before even trying it to purpose. So on the left side of the flow diagram is the traditional flow, which we already discussed. And the right side of the flow diagram shows how using the traditional approach, which we still have and it is proven, we can build a tool which is based on artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms, which we have identified to be suitable. So if you see, there is a feed going into a box which is talking about AI and ML solutions, which is having a deterministic sectors and probabilistic sectors. So the logs that we have from the traditional approach can be fed into this solution, and along with the triaged outcome in the traditional approach can be fed to it as well. So eventually, over the time, the solution will have ample of logs and the golden data expected from debugging those logs. So if you see to the right side, it says the triage outcome from the solution is compared against the triage outcome from the traditional approach. So with this, we will have to do a loop around and try to reach an accuracy more than some percentage that we would set it as an acceptance criteria for the tool to be used. So over the period when there are tens of thousands of logs fed into the solution, may it be the traces, may it be any kind of other logs or dumps. So finally, the solution will be trained enough to give us a proper accuracy, and we will be ready to integrate into the debug process. Yes, after that also, as we keep on using the tool and as we keep on generating the logs, we can still keep feeding on, and there may be some issues found that the tool is not giving the right output, and that it can train itself against the failure again. So this is how the solutions of AI and ML work, and this is how we are envisioning this tool as well to train itself. So so this is another use case from the same Thunderbolt 4 USB4 triaging case, which we are trying to show here and to support the proposed method that we discussed in the previous slide. So I must mention that what is shown here is an abstract presentation of how we envision the solution to work. We have got some opportunity in the past where we have been able to work and achieve a part of the shown outcome. So this is showing two parts, which is first part is deterministic and the second part is probabilistic. So in an USB4 debug case, we usually will have, assuming that we have some automation in place. So the first level of logs that we have from the validation execution are the automation logs, which give us a lot of information about what really happened, whether it is a pass or fail, all the information regarding the every other components which is related to USB4 or Thunderbolt, and finally give us the expected outcome versus the actual outcome. So using these logs, we now segregate it out into fail logs or pass logs, and then finally if the failure is in low power, so we are taking it in an deterministic phase, because if it is a low power fail or if it is an enumeration fail, then we know at least from the top that where it can fall in. So we do not want the tool to train much on this part, because this is quite evident. So keeping it is in a deterministic phase and trying it to accelerate towards the probabilistic phase. So if you see the low power entry exit fail, it is pointing towards either a blue screen of death or a cat error or system hang. And further, now that we have a BSOD or system hang identified from the log, let's say it is a BSOD, then now we say from our own experience and from the traditional approaches, we would say the tool that now you need to look at the memory dumps and system level debug logs along with the driver logs. And so from this point, the approach will change to probabilistic. And here is where we have to focus more in training the solution with more and more of such dumps and logs, so that over the period it will know that what kind of logs are looking like passing scenarios, what kind of logs are looking like failing scenarios, and using the proper algorithms, the efficient algorithms, it can sort out the possible area of the design which can be creating this problem, depending on the results of memory dump, depending on what it reads from the memory dump, and the signal traces or the logs. Similarly, if you look at the second issue, which is talking about enumeration related failures, there also there is a deterministic step beyond that, which is we know about either a controller is missing or a device is missing, or there is a partial enumeration under any root port, or there is a yellow bag. In each of those cases, we know what would be the next level of debug data that needs to be investigated. So once that information is known to the tool, now we need to focus again on training the tool in that area more and more, so that it can train itself and give us an AI assisted outcome, showing that the probabilistic area where the source of issue is there, it might be in your hardware register settings, or it might be in your PD firmware, or it might be in your operating system, or it may be in your own Thunderbolt drivers. So this is what we would achieve through traditional approach after a long debugs, and also including number of teams here. If you really see, once the Thunderbolt team finds that yes, there is a yellow bang on the controller, and from the driver logs it finds that it looks to be an operating system issue, but we say it looks to be. So now we have to include the operating system teams, and they would try to look at again, and after again we have to maybe create a lot of logs for them, or they themselves try to reproduce. And then if they say that yes, it's not OS problem, then it comes back again to the same component team which has reported it. So, and it is going into this loop again and again until it is really triaged. So if this kind of approach is followed, and if we can really get such a tool, then definitely we see a great advantage of like reducing the time and efforts put into post-silicon debugs, where the controllability and observability is always less and less. With this, I would go to results and return on investment section. And as I have mentioned, following is the expected ROI from the proposed solution. So we do not have a solution which works as this as of now, but this is our proposal. And if we get here, we would be expecting this kind of return on investment, which is, to simply put it, it supports silicon debug efficiency improvement and saving of manual effort. So where for a particular debug, we include a lot of teams and maybe around 5 to 10 people getting into the debug process eventually, that can reduce to maybe 2 people or even 1 people if the tool is quite efficient. We save a lot of dollars in resources and time with that. And the third point, which I'm going to discuss, is very critical. It gives us an opportunity to improve the DPMO, which is defects per millions of opportunities. And how this can happen is, with this tool, if we are able to accelerate the debug process, then we are able to find the issues early in the cycle, and we can fix the issues early in the cycle. That's how, when the real validation happens at the end level, where it is just about to go to the customers or getting released, the DPMO will always be very fine, and we will have a lot of confidence that we are not going to hit any critical issues at this point of time, because we have got a lot of them in the earlier cycles itself. And this, if this solution can be extended to the largest ecosystem through step-by-step adaptation through a lot of teams, basically the complex products are validated in large number of teams, and all of those teams usually use the same ingredients. So we believe this solution can be extended and used and adapted by a lot of teams in an organization, and with the maturity of the tool, everyone can get that advantage of accelerating the debug process in post-silicon phase. So with this, I complete the discussion today, and I would like to thank you all for listening to our proposal, and thank you, DVCon, for providing us the opportunity. Thank you.
Sorry, I was on mute. That was an excellent presentation, Amaresh and team. So let me just get started with a warm-up question. So it's a very grand vision, definitely, and post-silicon is a challenge, and that is something where everybody would like to see a very impactful tool. But how do you decide on all the different kinds of data that has to be fed into this machine learning? I do know the ecosystem is large, but then, and you did mention a lot of them. It could be from AT, it could be from bench results, it could be from software, and multiple, even DV logs too, right? Any thought on how you could get comprehensive over there?
Yeah, thank you, Sandeep, for the question. So as of now, the solution which we are working on is focused towards the post-silicon validation of almost the end product. So we are trying to focus currently on the dumps logs and all the data which come out of silicon validation from firmware logs, software driver logs, and as well the signal traces which can be converted into text logs, and to feed those which are quite at system level. To answer your specific question, how about the logs from AT or DV? So that is a phase when we really enter the silicon validation phase. So currently our focus is, as I said, it is towards the end product. Not exactly, we are not yet coming to the beginning of it. So where we really have a like very short time to fix the problems and get it to the customers. So that's where the focus is, and that's where we are also implementing the solution. Yeah.
Okay. And so there's a question probably very related. How was the train and test data extracted for training your model?
Great. So in here we have, because this is the system level, so we have number of teams working on the same products. And as I took an example case study of USB4, which is definitely an integrated component onto the systems. So we do have several teams running on the similar platforms using the same components. So we have an ecosystem where we can collect the logs from every other team who is running the tests on the same platforms, and taking if like it is related to BIOS, we can generate number of BIOS logs, not only from my team or but my org teams, but I can take it from across the world, whichever team is working on the platform. So that's how we have managed to collect a good number of logs, which we think as of now to start with is a good number of logs to train the system.
Okay, thank you. And for the example that you mentioned on the USB4, is that something where you have already seen the results? I mean, your results did mention it will save a lot of vectors, but
yes.
Have you realized it yet, or?
Yeah, so I would like to say that we are 30% there, and we have started seeing the results. But yes, because of a lot of confidentiality now, I will not be able to provide the numbers yet. Okay. But yeah, so we are 30% and growing on that area.
Awesome, awesome. And again, thanks to you, team, for a very excellent presentation. Post-silicon always is a challenging environment. Yes. So thanks to the authors. I think in the interest of time, probably I will have to close this, and if any questions, maybe in the lobby and things like that. So thanks to the authors, Amaresh, Chellapilla, Pandithurai, Sangaiyah, and Nagi, Reddy, Emani from Intel Technology India Private Limited. So we are done with today's session of track 1, verification and validation. Excellent presentation by all the participants and their extended teams. Thanks everyone for participating on DVCon India 2021. So with that, I think at least the track 1, we will be closing it now. And thanks, team, for taking all the questions and getting back. And we will again probably meet in the breakout sessions or tomorrow. We'll continue. Thank you.